Coach, how's it feel to be 1-0?
Feels great. It's always great to start the season at home. You get a W, get a lot of guys an opportunity to play. We came out relatively healthy, and we also know that it's going to be a big step up this week in competition, going to play a terrific Ole Miss team out in their backyard in Oxford.
You had a pretty difficult early season schedule last year with some really talented teams that you went up against. Watching the Rebels on film in that 76-3 win, is it similar to what you saw last year, maybe even more impressive?
Well, you see All-Americans all over the field. They're excellent players, very well coached, play extremely hard, very explosive. Both sides of the ball have tremendous speed, and yeah, it's eerily familiar to some of the teams we played a year ago.
Questions for Coach? Got a mic here?
Coach, what does it take to knock off a powerhouse like Ole Miss? Do you kind of have to play the perfect game?
I don't know that you have to play the perfect game, but you obviously have to execute. Against a team like this that's this talented, you probably, you definitely have to win the takeaway battle. You can't lose that and expect to win. But I think the primary thing you got to do is go in with a belief and expectation that you can compete. And I don't believe I did a good enough job last year having our guys believe that we can win those first 3 games. I think we've got a much different mentality about this group. We've got a bunch of guys that really like to compete. And we're going to challenge them this week that, no matter what happens on Saturday, we're going to go play our best game of the year.
Are you expecting to play 2 quarterbacks again?
Yeah, we're going to play. Zach will start. Chase will come in at some point, and we've already talked about on our staff where we're going to do that, but we're just not going to let Ole Miss know just yet.
Coming out of game 1, what were you most encouraged by after watching the film, and maybe something that you looked at and said, hey, we need to get a little better there?
A couple of things. The big thing was how we played in all 3 phases. I thought our guys were really juiced to play. We played with a swagger that we hadn't played with in a while. I thought defensively we tackled very, very well, and we were physical. Offensively, I liked how our quarterbacks played. From Chase being the first time, and for Zach really rebounding from it the last time he was out. I thought both those guys did some really good things, and we knew we had some guys that could make explosive plays. It was good to see them do it against someone else.
How are you going about preparing for the noise level? And some of these guys got a young team and they haven't been in this big of an environment before.
Well, that's obviously a concern. We do a lot of things with hand signals at practice today. We'll go through our noise all week, actually, our noise plan, and we've got speakers set how to practice with crowd noise, and it'll be a loud environment at practice, and hopefully our guys will be able to grind through that and give them a little taste of what they'll expect come Saturday.
You want your players watching the game film of the Tennessee Martin game, or is it better that they don't?
I was a little nervous that they wouldn't get on the bus to go, but no, we need to see what we're up against. We realize that this is one of the top teams in the country. It's been time a year ago. It was the #1 team in the country, knocked off Alabama. This is a group that's represents the elite in college football, and you got to go know your opponent. And I think when our guys break their schemes down, they'll realize that they've got terrific players. There's a lot of really good schemes that they do, but they do a great job executing those, and we've got to do a better job of executing our schemes and hopefully not give up big plays.
After they watched the film, did you have any of your D linemen asking for some offensive reps?
No, we don't have any Condichis, if that's what you're referring to, on our team. But no, that guy's impressive. They got a bunch of players that are impressive over there. When someone 300 pounds is that athletic and can catch the ball, it just goes to show you, what kind of talent level they're playing with there. And then, they do a great job of making it fun for their players and giving them opportunities like that.
Is this the kind of game where you have to take the fight to them, where you have to be aggressive and set the tone early? I think
you have to do that every game. You got to go in with an expectation that it's going to be a battle, and we're going to challenge our guys that no matter what the scoreboard says, we're going to keep battling every single snap. And if our guys do that, we'll see where the chips fall.
How do you keep your guys from being over-amped and doing a little more than they're supposed to?
I don't know that you can keep from being overamped. You know, you get an opportunity to go into the SEC, one of the storied environments in Oxford, Mississippi. We've got, I think, 65, freshmen and sophomores, a bunch of guys, even transfers that, last week was their first game. We're going to have some high adrenaline, and you want to play football with adrenaline. I mean, that's the thrill of playing. But you've also got to be able to be focused enough to execute your assignments and not lose your mind. So there's a fine line between feeding off that adrenaline and being able to execute.
How would you assess the play of the young wide receivers? Both those interceptions, it kind of looked like it may have been something downfield that caused that. There's a few drops that we saw. How do you think they played?
Well, we had way too many drops, as you mentioned. I thought we blocked better on the perimeter than we did a year ago, but we still have, some consistency issues that we've got to get better at. I was pleased with the way Josiah Blandon played. I thought he stepped up, particularly blocking and made some big catches, but he also had a drop. You mentioned the receivers on the interceptions. Josiah's got to do a better job of stemming, and Zach's got to put it in a little bit better place. He's got to throw the ball a little quicker. I mean, there's a lot of little issues like that come up. And then on Chasen's interception, the receiver should have run where the ball was thrown. Instead, he ran behind the player, and always looks bad on the quarterback, but it really wasn't his fault. He's throwing it where we wanted to throw, and timing, we got to do a better job of reading the coverage and reading the safety. But overall, I was pleased with a bunch of guys that are playing their first college football game. I think a lot of people saw how explosive our young talented receivers are. We've got to get reps for them. We're going to be a lot better in November than we are today, but we got to step it up this week.
How jacked do you think Martez is going to be for this game? As I talked to him for the season, he said he's going to have some family and friends at it, and then maybe also with Chasen, having that Mississippi State connection and maybe going back into SEC country. Start with, I guess, Martez, and what do you think?
Well, I think Martez, being as far away from Putnam County, Georgia, it's tough for his family to get out here. So, for us to be a little bit closer, and hopefully he'll have a ton of people there. He deserves it. He's been such a great Bulldog for us. He's just a great hard worker. Hopefully he'll have a terrific game, but it's going to be tough against, arguably one of the best defenses in the country. As far as Chasen's concerned, I don't know about all the other stuff, but I think everyone on our team is going to be excited about this opportunity. We're going to challenge our guys. You don't get opportunities like this to play one of the top teams, to be able to create a lifelong memory, and we have that opportunity this week.
From a physical standpoint, is it kind of fun as a coach going into a game like this and knowing that you're going to get to see your team tested, up front, against one of the most physical teams in the country, and kind of see how you guys react?
I don't know if fun's the word, but I do like the challenge. I like seeing us compete against the best in the country. Having said that, be careful what you wish for, because this is a group that on both sides of the ball is just teeming with All-Americans. I mean, it's got talent, speed, skill, tenacity everywhere, and we're going to see what the elite college football is this week.
You talked about playing two quarterbacks. Are you planning on playing two kickers as well again?
Likely. Cody's our starting kicker, but Cody's leg strength is not quite what Jimmy's is. So if we have an extra long field goal, we'll likely go with Jimmy. They're still competing. I think Cody has really stepped up since Jimmy's been on campus. His consistency, and he's gotten stronger. He's gotten more pop in his legs. So we're going to keep those guys both kicking, and they'll both possibly have opportunities, just depending on where the field goal is we decide to go for them.
I know you approach this as just another game, but the last time Fresno State beat a ranked opponent was 2004. If you guys go in there and win, what would that mean for the program?
Well, we don't worry about the ranked opponent thing. Those are a lot of teams that this team has nothing to do with. Obviously, if you're fortunate enough to get a win on ESPN2 against a ranked opponent, it does tremendous things for you from a recruiting standpoint, from a confidence standpoint for your team. That's something you worry about if you're fortunate enough to do that. We're not worried about that. We're just worried about executing what we do and try to be the best us we can be. That was our challenge last week, It didn't matter who our opponent was, we just need to play well. We need to do the same thing this week.
Coach, is it possible to turn Ole Miss into a one-dimensional team? Like, what do you take away the run and the pass? Seems like
Well, they ran for over 300 last week, and they threw for over 300 last week, so what do you want to take away? Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, you're going to try to. We start every week trying to take away the run. I think that's critical in defense is limiting runs. They've got 3 terrific tailbacks. 6 is really shifty and strong between the tackles, and has a great burst. Reminds me a lot of Donnell Pumphrey from San Diego State. He's a tough one because he's going to make people miss. The quarterbacks all can run. They played 3 of them last week. It's going to be difficult to take away the run or stop the run, but we're going to try to. And you do it by numbers. And if you add guys in the box, now you got to play single coverage on guys like Treadwell, who's #1 recruit in the country a couple of years, preseason All-American wide receiver. Their tight ends of All-American. Who you going to double team? You got some issues. So they make it difficult, and we'll just have to pick our spots.
You mentioned the 3 quarterbacks. What did you see specifically from Kelly in his debut that impressed you?
I think for guys starting the first game, he was very, very efficient. He's throwing it deep out. First play of the game, put it on back shoulder on a rope. And there's a reason the guy was a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school. You can see the pedigree there. And then what they do with their system is makes it difficult. They're going to run the ball. They're going to have play actions off the run where it looks like it's run. If your defensive backs get their eyes in the wrong place, just like last week, there's going to be explosive plays all over the field. So you got to be disciplined. A guy like this can exploit teams not being disciplined.
With Waller, the hamstring was acting up a little bit Thursday night. Is that an ongoing concern? Is that just a hiccup on opening night?
He was just tight. He didn't pull anything, but he was tight.
And Garrison status?
He will be out the first half this week per NCAA rules. We addressed it on Friday after the game. It's unacceptable what he did. He agreed. He apologized to the team and coaches. I really like Dustin. He made a terrible decision. He's paying the price, and then we're going to move on from there, and he'll play in the second half.
And what about Meisenheimer? Are you going to be able to use him this week?
Ideally, Mice was a little banged up last week, and if we had to, we could have played him. But our trainers were saying that if we afford to not play him, it'll help him get through the season more so than keeping him where he's constantly kind of dinged up a little. We anticipate playing him.
Coach, you mentioned what a game like this can mean for recruiting, having a good showing on national television, but 53-man cut rosters were made in the NFL this past weekend. 14 former Bulldogs made NFL teams. What does that mean for this program?
I think it's huge. We tell our recruits all the time, all the things you want, get a great degree, have an opportunity to play in the NFL, you can do right here in the heart of the Central Valley. You don't have to go out of state to places to do that. And when you have 14 former Bulldogs do that, it makes quite the statement. And so we might try to get that word out to our recruits.
More questions for Coach?
I know it's not one of the big attention getters that people like to talk about, but sometimes the things that don't happen are as important as the things that do happen. And your special teams kick and punt coverage Thursday night, pretty outstanding.
Yeah, I really like what our coaches have done there. As a team, I think we've greatly increased our athletic ability so that we have some depth now in our special teams that we, quite frankly, didn't have our first couple of years. We take great pride with it. Coach Germano does a great job, orchestrating all of our special teams and then having individual coaches assign each unit. Our guys just, I thought, took a lot of pride in it. Garrett kicked the ball well, not consistent enough. We got to get him a little bit better with his placement. But we've got a bunch of guys that are running down the field with a lot of tenacity, and that's what it takes to special teams.
Coach, you talked about the opponents that you had to start the year last year. How would you say the South SEC country is any different than going to USC or Utah?
You know, certainly USC and Utah are a couple of top programs. I just think if you look over the last, you name the years, the SEC, and in particular the Western Division of the SEC, has been named the elite conference in college football. And it doesn't take anything away from, you know, the Pac-12 or any of those other leagues, but, you know, they've got All-Americans everywhere. They're extremely physical, and they're very, very fast. And that's a lethal combination.
Anything else for Coach?
Just one more quick thing, Coach. They've got Alabama after you guys, and you have a couple extra days to prepare.
Yeah, we'll probably soften them up for us.
I mean, any little advantage there in that they've got a big game, you know, a huge game right afterwards? And
I don't know. You'd like to hope so, but I also know Coach Freeze and his staff are professional. They're not going to allow that, you know, if it's up to them. You know, if they played Alabama maybe the day before, you know, we'd have a better shot instead of a week later, but we'll just see.
As far as Zach's improvement, biggest points of emphasis for him this week going into this game?
He's just got to play within himself. I thought he did that the other day. You know, he did a much better job keeping his eyes downfield, but there's still a couple times that, you know, he needed to get rid of the ball on time. He's got the talent. He's got talent around him. He's just got to be the distributor of the football, which he was the other night. Just keep making steps where he's doing that.
Anything else for Coach? All right, we'll let Coach go.